It's after dark. Do you know where your legal AF is? Well, when you put the fox in charge of the chicken coop, bad things can happen. When you have unethical people who have business before the government or the very agencies or regulators that they're now becoming the head of, you might have a problem, and American safety, American health, American defense, American economic interests are all compromised. We talk about it from that perspective. What happens when Donald Trump is successful in the most criminal president-elect we've ever had, the most corrupt one, to say the least, enters office in 50, 60 days without having any of these ethical issues or financial compromising issues resolved. He doesn't want them resolved. He wants everybody in his cabinet to still be in business. He wants them to be regulating the industries that they have business in. And we break it all down for you on Legal AF, the podcast. Take a listen.
We get to the Trump grift aspect of it. We reported last week about Trump selling Trump guitars. We talked about the frequently asked questions section of the Trump guitar website, where it talks about how the guitar itself has not even been manufactured yet. That's kind of consistent with all the Trump products. They're like AI images. You then pay the thousands of dollars, or in the case of the Trump watches, $100,000, which we said makes it very susceptible, let's say, to money laundering. We're also seeing a lot of people trying to buy influence with Trump crypto. Wall Street Journal wrote about that over the weekend. And so the reason, though, that the grift, other than just being, I think, embarrassing, that he's selling like bootleg Gibson guitars that he doesn't even have the IP for, and like how unbecoming of a United States president, though, is it allows for influence in ways that may not seem obvious. If someone buys all of the guitars for millions of dollars, that person could be buying access. If you buy all the NFTs, you could be buying access. If you buy the crypto, you're buying access. And traditional quid pro quos that are assessed through normal lenses are not necessarily kind of captured through this. The same way when Trump was in office in Trump term 1, it was a more conventional one that you can see easier, the Trump Hotel, because you could literally monitor it. Okay, who's in the lobby? Who's renting out the rooms? And you would say, oh, the Saudi leader's renting out the rooms. You could see him there. The Qataris are there. You see him there. This group's there. You see him there. Here comes another ambassador from this country. They're all staying there. Oh, look, you can go and Google online. Their rates are higher. So you can see it. So now version 2 has a more pernicious, subtler version of it. And that's why it's important to call it out. And it looks clownish. I mean, like, we have the video of Cheryl Hines, who is RFK Jr.'s wife and the wife of Larry David's, just selling stuff. I'm not going to play the video because it's a ridiculous 60% off, make America healthy again products. You want shampoo? You want this? I'm selling it. But Popok, all of this grift, we could talk about how embarrassing is, sure, but it speaks to this broader issue of influence peddling and how these are all these entry points, not just buying access through Mar-a-Lago, but through all of these avenues right now that are not easily viewed. And then you also tie in what we said earlier. If you start getting rid of agencies like consumer protection financial bureaus, if you neuter the SEC, which the right-wing Supreme Court's done, if you take away all the powers of the National Labor Relations Board, this then festers unfettered until, boom, it breaks and the system breaks. Then Democrats take over, and then they're blamed for fixing the system that Republicans tore to the ground.
Yeah, I on the crypto. Let me start with the crypto, then I'll come to the regulation part of it, because there is a case coming up on Monday at the United States Supreme Court that I think I can use as an example of what you're talking about, and we'll cover it on Legal AF on the Unprecedented show I do with Dina Dahl. The crypto is a scary world because the average person, even most people, the majority of people, don't understand it. They don't understand cryptocurrency or stable coin or Bitcoin. They've heard the word, the phrases. They don't understand the blockchain. That's okay. I'm not blaming people. I'm just saying it is this underworld, this nefarious underworld that had been tried to be regulated by Joe Biden through the Securities and Exchange Commission. And everybody that is in Donald Trump's inner circle and now in cabinet positions or cabinet level positions have a tremendous personal stake in cryptocurrency, including Donald Trump. Not only does Donald Trump have a cryptocurrency company, which he's going to be marketing through people that he's now appointed to be the Middle East envoy, if you can believe it. And a guy is a small-time real estate developer in Florida that testified for Donald Trump at the Attorney General case and has now been rewarded with both being in business with Donald Trump and cryptocurrency personally with the family and by being made the envoy to the Middle East. Leave that alone for a minute. Howard Lutnick is tremendously invested in something called Tether, which there's been speculation about whether there really is any money or whether it's an FTX all over again. There's no money behind the Tether. It's a stable coin platform that his company is making a lot of money off of at his existing Wall Street firm. And he's heavily invested in the success of cryptocurrency. Elon Musk personally owns billions of dollars in cryptocurrency. And so he wants things. I mean, Doge is named after a meme cryptocurrency that Musk likes to manipulate by making social media posts that make the price of it go up and down. And so all these people, and they're pushing Donald Trump, and he will do it. When I say push sounds like there'll be resistance. No resistance. Donald Trump will establish with our hard-paying taxpayer dollars, with a deficit that's increasing because the taxes for the most wealthy in our society will be cut again, increasing the deficit. So it's going to come after new money that you and I are paying on taxes to create a cryptocurrency strategic reserve like oil and petroleum. So we have enough of it, meaning you're buying it up so the market goes up. You think $100,000 for Bitcoin is a lot? It's going to go to 3 times that if the U.S. government gets into buying it the way they own treasuries. And as soon as Donald Trump gets complete control of our economy through the Federal Reserve Chairman, when he finally gets around to getting that picked, and he gets the SEC out of cryptocurrency, now there's an announcement that they're having a cryptocurrency platform attached to Truth Social. So you see how all of these things, this dark money, just got a lot darker, and it's all trailing into the Trump presidency. This is not only my words, this is the words of any fair-minded people looking at the issue. This is already the most corrupt president-elect transition that we've ever seen. He had an obligation to tell the American people in a formal document what are his to identify the ethical and financial conflicts among his cabinet and himself with things that have business before the government, or these people are going to be handling or regulating, and give a plan for how to solve them. There's no plan. There won't be a plan. He's not going to do that. And he's going to make us and public interest groups supported by us go after him and catch him if we can in court filings. There's going to be huge litigation over the Department of Government Efficiency and if it was a proper delegation or where do they get their authority from. And if it's an advisory committee, there's going to be a whole series of law about that. And then it does, as you said, the system breaks. And we're going to watch it right now in a little follow case, but I just did a hot take on it, and we will follow it off of Monday in oral argument. There's a case called Triton, Triton, which has to do with vaping, nicotine-based vaping, which the vape industry put a lot of money into Donald Trump and to buy that presidency among a number of industries, including cryptocurrency. And they want to return on their investment. And Donald Trump said out loud many things, but one of them he said was he was going to be the savior of the vaping industry. And I don't mean the flavored air one with no nicotine. I mean the nicotine one, the one where every vape over the last generation of vapes has gotten more nicotine and more addictive, not less. That's science. Okay, that's not, as you said, that's not politics. That's science. And the Food and Drug Administration, run by Joe Biden's people, took on the vape industry when they got to the point of wanting to market to children and teenagers with vape flavored, with candy flavored vape, with names like Peachy Strawberry and Cookies and Cream. I'm like, who is this for? A 58-year-old guy trying to kick the habit? Or is this for a 12-year-old? And the FDA, which took off the market years ago, things like flavored cigarettes, was like, no, you're not going to market to children with flavored vape like that. And the vape industry was like, well, it's not a gateway drug and there's no connection. And it's just, people like those flavors. Yeah, right. Yeah. Fruity Pebbles vaping with nicotine in it. So the FDA rejected it. Now, where did it go? It went where it always goes in MAGA world. It went to Texas. And they got a judge in Texas. And then the Fifth Circuit, en banc, all the Fifth Circuit, in a 10-6 decision, ruled the FDA's regulations to stop the marketing to children were improper and struck down the regulation. And the MAGA judges were all, and many of them trying out for the Supreme Court. Judge Ho, Judge Oldham, who usually write these decisions, they're trying out, pick me for the Supreme Court, big time, from the Fifth. And they wrote in their decision, it is like Kafka to deal with the FDA. And it is the old switcheroo. And how is these vaping companies ever to know what they can and can't do? And struck it down. Great. And it issued an injunction. The Supreme Court, the MAGA Supreme Court, took it up on appeal like a month ago. And I was like, that's interesting. What's really interesting is it's right after, not before, they struck down the Chevron doctrine, which is the one that you and I talked about since we all left law school, which was reasonable interpretations of confusing regulations you give deference, at least initial deference, to the regulator, the ones that are in the business of nuclear power regulation, water and environment regulation, and workplace regulation, and in here, FDA, Food and Drug Administration regulation. If they have a reasonable interpretation, you kind of go with it. And they hated that in MAGA world and Federalist Society world, because they want all the power to reside in the presidency. Even though these are administrative agencies, they hate administrative agencies. They hate regulation and regulators. They want to make all the industry regulate themselves, which means no regulation at all, and the like. And so we had the case that overturned the Chevron doctrine, with Chief Justice Roberts writing, it's for federal judges to interpret the law. It always has been. It's not we don't defer to anyone. So they ripped off a 50-year precedent from the books, right? And they replaced it with a case we now call Loper-Bright, which is named after that case. So Loper-Bright comes out, destroying administrative integrity and power. And then they take the decision of the FDA to come up on an oral argument, which is going to be on Monday. So it's a weird world we're in right now, because the Solicitor General's office is Biden's Solicitor General, not the incoming Solicitor General. That's Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer, John Sauer. So it's the old Solicitor General and the old FDA defending the policy against a law firm in Washington that represents tobacco and vaping 24/7. With a panel, the Supreme Court that knows Trump's coming in, with RFK Jr., who is ultimately the head of the FDA, because the FDA reports the Health and Human Services. He's an anti-science denier, an anti-vax denier. The new head of the FDA under Donald Trump, a British guy from Johns Hopkins who's a pancreatic surgeon, he's an anti-vaxxer and an anti-science guy, if you can believe it, who's friends with RFK Jr. So these two are going to be regulating vaping world, with Donald Trump standing behind them saying, I'm supporting vaping world. And Thomas and Alito and Gorsuch got the memo. And so we're going to see a weird thing where the old team is arguing and the Supreme Court sitting there going, knowing that Donald Trump is coming in. This is what happens when you hollow out regulators, when you don't care about the American people, their children's health or teenagers' health. You only care about autocrats and oligarchs and rich people. And as you said, who suffers? The weakest in our society. The punching down continues. And we're here to call it out. And so the last point on this case that we'll call Triton is that the advocate has to aim for Amy Coney Barrett. Even though, listen, I don't like most of her decisions, but on occasion, she's been the center. And if we can get Amy Coney Barrett and the others, and maybe Roberts to come over there to say, hey, maybe marketing to children and teenagers with candy-colored things and vape with nicotine isn't a good idea, then we have a chance of winning. But it's going to be a struggle, and we're going to know right away during that hot bench on Monday about it, and we'll come back here and report it on Legal AF. Welcome back. Podcasting. It's all the rage. We've been doing it, though, for 5 years. It's called Legal AF. If you didn't know why, now you do. Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on this YouTube channel. You can watch a live recording and then an audio podcast platform wherever you pick it up. We do 4 or 5 stories at the intersection of law and politics. Wednesdays with Karen Freeman, Nick Nifolo, and me. Saturday with Ben Meiselas, my co-founder, and me. And then I've got a brand new Legal AF YouTube channel that I run along with the MeidasTouch network. It's called Legal AF MTN, Legal AF MTN on YouTube. Go over there, hit the free subscribe button, help us build. We're building our way. We're going to get to 500,000 if we're lucky, but we work really hard at this. By New Year's, that's our goal. And with your help, we will. Come on over, check us out over there. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF contribution, either on the YouTube channel or on the podcast, this is Michael Popok, and I'm reporting. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.